Hello and welcome to Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Hey, Matt and Megan, how are you guys doing? We're ready. It's time for March Mouseness, round two. We had a lot of fun last week live with our round one of March Mouseness, where we talked about our top snacks, but this time we're going to all about the characters. And Matt, this was your bracket, so we're going to just get right to it here. We are recording this particular episode this time on Mousecast. We'll be live next week again as we wrap things up with our top 16 songs. But for this particular night, we're pre-recording, and Matt, take it away. It's the top 16 characters.
Yeah, so we're going to specifically do Sidekick characters for Disney. There's too many main characters that you can choose from. You can go Disney, Pixar, Marvel, stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? Let's stay with Disney, but we'll go sidekicks, because who doesn't love a really good sidekick in our Disney movies? So,
all right. Well, let's zoom on in. Here we go. So your first matchup.
My first matchup was Genie versus Turk from Tarzan. To me, this was a simple one, easy one. Genie is my favorite character of any Disney movie. So, me personally, I'm going with Genie. The character itself is great. What the Genie stands for, as far as, hey, be yourself. That's what the big thing was. And the comedy aspect of it, and I'm going to include Robin Williams, is just the personality that he put into this character is just, it can't be beat, in my opinion. So Turk is up there, kind of, trying to guide Tarzan as far as being basically not a human, but still trying to, have some of those characteristics and how to get along and stuff like that, and even cause a little mayhem.
Yeah, I was going to say, both of these characters are fun because they're both very comedic characters. Yeah. And as you said, Genie is definitely not unknown for a little bit of mayhem, and Turk is all about mayhem. From, of course, from Tarzan, and one of the orangutans or gorillas from Tarzan as well. I'm with you. I kind of like Genie. I don't know what Megan is thinking over there, but
I'm with you guys too. Genie, the special thing I think about Genie is that he's a side character that's more than one dimensional. We have a lot of side characters who kind of, I used to teach English, so I'm going to use a literary term here, a flat character. A lot of the side characters, they're the same at the end as they were at the beginning. They didn't really change much. Disney and Pixar do a nice job of kind of leveling up some of their side characters, but Turk is not one of those. Love Turk, but Genie really, you've got the hilarity and yes, the chaos, but he also has a lot of heart. And he's a very special side character.
Well, and again, you've also got Robin Williams, as Genie. So I mean, how can you not? So, alrighty, our next matchup, we have Dory versus Mater. All right, Megan, why don't you start with this one?
An 8-9 matchup. This is hard.
This is a hard one. This is like that 8-9 matchup. Yeah. Matt put together a good lineup here, and already here the second matchup, and it's I don't know. We got a pair of Pixar pals going up against each other, and both are not really sidelined to the same degree. I mean, Mater is a key character, especially when you think of Cars 2. Mater is almost the character, the feature character in Cars 2, where
Dory got her own movie.
As I say, Dory got her own movie.
Exactly.
They don't call it Finding Dory for no reason. So this is a hard one. Also note that they are both voiced by notable celebrities, from Larry the Cable Guy, Mater, Ellen DeGeneres, Dory. So I'm playing for time. That frankly, this is hard. I think in the end, because I have to choose one, I guess I'd go with Mater. I don't know why, but for some reason I gravitate to Mater. Maybe it's that Southwest Virginia in me or something like that. Megan?
I'm gonna agree with you, Chuck. I'm gonna go with Mater also here, and I think for me, I kind of think, like who would I want to spend more time with? I think both of these characters might drive me a little insane if I spent several straight hours with them. But Dory's constant losing her memory, I think, just might be the thing that pushes me over the edge first. So, for that reason alone, which feels really unfair to Dory because she's wonderful and she is just as devoted to her friends as Mater is to his. She just can't remember their names in 30 seconds, and that just ooh.
There you go. All right, Matt, are you going to make it 3 for 3, or are you the dissenter on this one?
No, I was leaning Mater on this one as well. It's really close. Just what they both bring. I mean, goes back to the character development. Yeah, they're comedy characters and stuff like that, but at the same time, like the importance that they have, supporting the main characters. I mean, the way, Lightning McQueen is kind of like all about himself and just it's all about business. I mean, it's just like, no, we're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna show you the lighter side of life, and we're just gonna have a ball. And same with Dory. With yeah, she's forgetful, the short-term memory, but like it's a comedy character in what she brings. So like, hey, slow down, like, ease up a little bit. Both of them have that same kind of message.
Well, and Dory also is very much a Walt Disney-like character in this way. What is Dory's kind of catchphrase? It's just keep swimming.
Keep swimming. Yep.
What does Walt Disney say? Keep moving forward. So, there is a lot of Walt Disney in Dory. And so, that's gives me a little bit of heart right here to go, I can't choose Dory. But in the end, we did go with Mater. Our next matchup, wow, this is another fun challenge because we have none other than one of the Fab Five, Pluto,
Yep.
up against Baloo from the Jungle King. So this is another tough one because Baloo is a beloved character. I mean, on the face of it, you think, oh, Pluto, of course, it's Fab Five, but stop and think a minute now. I mean, this isn't as easy as you think because Baloo is a beloved and classic character. These are two very classic Disney characters. So, what do you think, Matt?
Yeah, another one of those. And I just when I created this, I was just like, it's a little bit closer than I think. And I mean, Pluto's going to have my back, and there's also like he's going to have like that, that silliness to him, like those dog-like features and stuff like that. He's just going to be silly, but he's man's best friend. He's Mickey's best friend. And Baloo, same thing. Like it almost comes back to like we were just talking about with Walt, and kind of forgetting the outside world, and kind of just the bare necessities. What do you really need?
I mean, Baloo is the heart of the Jungle Book. He is the heart of the entire movie, The Jungle Book. Yes, you have Mowgli and all the other characters, but in the end, he's the Obi-Wan. He's the sage, character who and where Pluto is the epitome of a sidekick character. There are a few Pluto solo shorts and things like that, but Pluto really. You don't see a Pluto without a Mickey Mouse oftentimes, or possibly a Minnie or something like that. So, all that being said, I mean, I've still got to go with Pluto. I mean, it's one of the Fab Five. I mean, you can't. Almost, I feel like I would be kicked out of Disney World if I didn't pick Pluto here.
I agree with you about feeling like I'm going to get kicked out of Disney, but I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to go with Baloo. Because
so here we go.
What I always think about is, my kids are at that age, they love Mickey Mouse shows. And there are episodes in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Playhouse, all the Fun House, all the things, where Pluto isn't even there. And the game goes on without him. Mowgli cannot make a step here without Baloo because he is the one guiding him safely back to civilization. So for me, I think that's the deciding factor for me. Mickey and the gang can go on without Pluto. They don't like to, but they do it. Mowgli wouldn't last 5 minutes without Baloo there. So I'm going to
All
go
right,
with
so Matt, it's down to you. The choice between Pluto or Baloo.
I think this is going to be an upset. I'm taking Baloo.
Oh, we've got
Mostly
an
because
upset.
my logic is, who do I want to hang out with more? That's kind of like my tiebreaker for this. Baloo, just have fun, but at the same time, it's common sense fun.
Yeah,
And
we
Pluto is
have our
just gonna be
first
like,
512 upset here because this is one frankly, when I saw this list of characters, I thought, oh, Pluto's going to just about go all the way. He's one of the Fab Five, but here we go. So, all right. So another interesting pair here. We have Tinkerbell. Both are very petite characters, and both are or have been portrayed with magical properties. So we have Tinkerbell and Jiminy Cricket. So a tough matchup. Megan, we'll let you start up.
this one is not tough for me. I'm going Jiminy Cricket all the way. Tinkerbell, she comes around there a little at the end, but Tinkerbell's a mean girl, and I don't do mean girls.
She got some spunk.
And that's one way to look at it. She is not very nice at the beginning of that movie. Jealousy does not become her. And Jiminy Cricket, I mean, oh man.
You just what you're telling me is you're listening to your conscience.
I am. And my conscience says Jiminy Cricket.
And your conscience says Jiminy Cricket. All right, Matt, what do you think?
this one I'm torn on. To me, Jiminy Cricket is your traditional sidekick, like guiding the hero or the main character. In this case, it's Pinocchio, trying to like steer him, away from trouble and stuff like that. Where Tinkerbell she's steering up some of the trouble. It's the feistiness and stuff like that. So I don't know. I kind of, to me, Tinkerbell is it's a different kind of sidekick. So I'm leaning Tinkerbell on this one.
Yeah, this is hard for me because I love Jiminy Cricket. We have talked before about nighttime spectaculars and nighttime parades, and my favorite still to this day is Spectro Magic, and Jiminy Cricket is right there. Jiminy Cricket is in the new Disney Starlight as well. That being said, Tinkerbell flying from the castle. I mean, she is. I grant you that at the beginning of Peter Pan, she is less than nice, but she grows on you, and she grows a little bit there. I'm getting the eye from Megan right now, but I'm gonna go with Matt and Tinkerbell. You are moving on to the next round of March Mouseness. All right, so we're moving into our third group of four. We do have a pair of real good sidekicks. Miko from Pocahontas versus Timon and Pumbaa. For me, this is no question whatsoever. If you know me, and you know me well, I love me some Lion King. Ladies and gentlemen, I will take Timon and Pumbaa all day long.
Yeah, I couldn't separate the two of them, so I was just like, you know what, they're going in as a pair, and yeah, this one, you think Lion King, the first, you got Simba and Mufasa, you think James Earl Jones, the iconic voice and stuff like that, but me, I think Timon, Pumbaa, hula skirts, you name it.
It's hilarious.
The hyenas, it's the first thing I think of. So to me, Timon and Pumbaa move on fairly easy.
They run across a lion cub and they just adopt him. I mean, Simba should be eating them. And they just pick him up and go, and they have that balance to them. I will say, though, Miko stars in one of my favorite Disney scenes ever, and it's the one where Percy, the dog, is taking a bath and eating cherries out of a bowl, and Miko just goes into the ship, puts all the cherries in his mouth, and, takes the one off of Percy's head and runs off again. Miko's hysterical. I love him.
It's a great bit.
It's really good.
But Timon and Pumbaa,
but here's the thing. Miko doesn't really say a word. Timon and Pumbaa, Ernie Sabella and Nathan Lane. I mean, can you just even think about Timon and Pumbaa without Nathan Lane as Timon, Ernie Sabella as Pumbaa? Fantastic. So Timon and Pumbaa, you are advancing to the next round of March Mouseness. But we're not done yet, though. Another pair, Jacques and Gus, going very classic from Cinderella versus the 800-pound snowman that is Olaf. I know where a lot of folks who are watching this or listening to the podcast version are screaming out right now, and yeah, it's not for Jacques and Gus. So,
well, I'm gonna go against all those people. I'm picking Jacques and Gus.
oh, you're going
Absolutely.
for the.
I mean,
This is like the 116 upset here.
No, see, I like Olaf. He's sweet and everything, but Jacques and Gus, dude, they did like how many flights of stairs as mice down, and then they carried that key. I mean, if there is love for a main character, it is the two of them. They, oh man, some of the best. I love them to pieces. Gotta go with the duo.
All right. Well, Matt, we'll see where you are on this.
It's another tough one. I mean, both Jacques and Gus have, between Cinderella's back, and they're very determined, to help her out, and they see everything that's going on, even though if Cinderella can't fully see it sometimes, or, or, like you said, getting locked in that room and going to get that key and taking on the cat, taking on Lucifer, who's, pretty mean sidekick, if you ask me. But Gus just doesn't take any crap from that cat. And he's just like, let's go. Like, put up your dukes, I'm ready to go. And Olaf, he's got everybody's best interest involved. He's willing to sacrifice himself for everybody else. And that's, to me, that's huge as far as a sidekick. I'm going to go classic here. I'm going with Jacques and Gus on this one, though.
Wow, because I'm going Olaf all the
characters.
way. But so yeah, I'm, some people are worth melting for. That's just like amazing. But
are you melting for Olaf, Chuck?
I'm all about Olaf on this one. But we have two that say Jacques and Gus. So not only do we have the equivalency of a 12-5 upset, we have the 16-1. Jacques and Gus, you have just taken down Olaf and are moving
Jacques
on.
And Gus, they're the kind of feisty that I like. Not the Tinkerbell feisty where they got there's no meanness, and their face-offs against Lucifer throughout that entire movie. And I think Cinderella may actually be my favorite Disney movie of all time. I love that movie, and they are key pieces of that.
Well, here we go then. I'm not sure. I'm very surprised. I will tell you so far, this round 2 of March Mouseness is not going how I expected. One bit. Lumiere and Cogsworth, you're up against Maui. So I'll kind of jump this one off. Lumiere and Cogsworth is a new classic pair of characters, from Beauty and the Beast. Of course, Maui, coming from Moana and getting ready to, of course, have a new rendition of Maui in the live-action version, where we've had live-action from Lumiere and Cogsworth. For our purposes, we're talking about the animated versions of all these characters. This is a tough one. I really enjoy, how Dwayne Johnson played Maui. He's very fun. He's got a little bit of, some sarcasm to him and, a little bit of spunk. But at the end, though, you find the guy's he's a big guy and he's got an even bigger heart. Lumiere and Cogsworth are kind of like Timon and Pumbaa. They just go together. You wouldn't have one without the other. So, and the interaction that they have between them is just delicious. That I don't know what you call Lumiere, that sassiness that he has compared to the true stuck-up nose in the air, play it by the book, all the time Cogsworth. They're a lot of fun together, but if I'm going to have to choose one this time, I think I'm going to be a little bit surprising to you. You might think I'm going with Lumiere and Cogsworth, but I'm going to choose Maui. I'm going with Maui on this one. All right, Megan, I saw a pout there. What's going on?
This one was hard for me. This one is difficult. I think I'm going the other way. And similar to the Timon and Pumbaa argument, this is where, for me, the actors come in to play here. Because, Jerry
David
Orbach,
Ogden Stiers is
there we go.
Cogsworth.
That's whose name. That's the name I couldn't come up with. Jerry Orbach was
And
one
Jerry
of my
Orbach, yes, is
favorite-
Lumiere.
I mean, oh my gosh! I was in college when he passed, and I just like cried. It was so
Yeah.
bad. And they're just, I mean, they brought those characters together, and I love just, again, like Timon and Pumbaa, the balance. Cogsworth with the very logical, almost some would say heartless take on things of like, this is the way it is, and that's the way it is, and this is how it has to happen. And Lumiere, that romantic at heart, and
That's why I said this is hard for me, but in the end, I think that's why I just went Maui, just because it's a newer character and fun in that way.
Maui is great. I do absolutely love him, and his turnaround there at the end of the movie is just it's fantastic. It's a really great character arc.
All right, so Matt, we've got one for Lumiere and Cogsworth, one for Maui. The deciding vote comes down to you.
You guys are enjoying doing this to me tonight, aren't you?
You did this yourself. We didn't make these up.
Dude, you made this list, not us.
That's true. That's true. I did put these together. For me, yeah, the way Lumiere and Cogsworth just play off each other, it's almost like two siblings. Like that one was like, don't do this. Like, mom and dad wouldn't appreciate this. And the other one's just like, whatever. I'm gonna jump off the couch or do whatever I want and just, lighten up a little bit. But the Maui character, I don't know why. I just feel like I haven't gotten to, as far as the sidekick is concerned, I see him almost like the genie in a way. Like, just that fun, playful, like, I don't know what it is about. It kind of loosens up Moana in a way. Like, she's scared, she's trying to figure it out, but at the same time, Maui's just like, loosen up a little bit. Like, you're going to find who you are. Eventually he's just like, you're going to find who you are. We're going to take care of this issue and stuff like that. And it all works out. And, everybody kind of gets to see Moana for who she really is at the end. So for that, I think I'm leaning Maui for this one.
All right, so Maui moves on to the next round of March Mouseness. And so we do have one last pairing to do here. And so that is a pair of small but mighty buddies of our main characters. We have Pascal, our color-changing chameleon friend from Tangled, and of course Mushu, our troublemaking dragon from Mulan. All right, Megan, we'll start with you.
Pascal's really cute, but he falls into the same category as Miko, where he doesn't speak, and there's not a whole lot. Now, if this said Maximus and Mushu, I adore Maximus. Love him to pieces. But Mushu, dishonor on you, dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow. Like, just all the way. Mushu 100% for me.
I'm right there with you. Dishonor on your dishonor if you don't choose Mushu. And here's the other piece of this. For those of us that are a tad bit older, you wouldn't think that this is Eddie Murphy, because this is not the type of Eddie Murphy that you would imagine from Eddie Murphy's original days. Kids, just Google it at some point. You'll see what I mean. But Mushu, and he plays this character brilliantly. Mushu is not Mushu if it wasn't Eddie Murphy voicing him. And so that's, I think, another reason why, to me, Mushu is an absolute, gem of a. I don't even know if he's a sidekick. I think he's kind of a side main character. He's almost a side lead character in the way he plays. So, Matt?
Yeah, it's a clean sweep for Mushu on this one. I haven't seen Mulan as much as I've seen Tangled, but yeah, Mushu he's hard to beat. So that's the first thing I think of is dishonor. Yeah, that whole skit it's classic.
It is classic. So this now brings us to our second round. So we have gotten to our Elite Eight. They are Genie, Mater, Baloo, Tinkerbell, Timon and Pumbaa, Jacques and Gus. Interesting, we got a pair of pairs there. And Maui and Mushu. So we'll jump back up to our first Elite 8 pairing, and you have the Genie versus Mater. And so this gets tough. For me, though, it all comes down to two words. Robin Williams. Genie. For me, it's Genie all the way.
Easy one for me as well, Genie. 100%. Mater's really sweet and all, but Genie's got the depth.
Yeah, they're both kind of similar characters and kind of like that, be yourself and liven up. But yeah, like I said before, Genie's my favorite character, so Genie
all the way.
On.
All right, so Genie moves on. Okay. We get a little harder now here.
Yeah.
Baloo and Tinkerbell. If you'll remember, some of these also had very split decisions in the previous round. So, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Baloo, who, by the way, knocked off the Fab Five Pluto, and Tinkerbell, who also beat out the Conscious of Jiminy Cricket. So, Megan, we'll start with you.
Not voting for the mean girl. Going
Baloo. Wow.
All the way. Bare necessities.
Wow, that's interesting. So, going for Baloo, she says she's not voting for that mean girl. Matt?
Oh, man, I don't know about this one. This one's tough. I like Tinkerbell's spunk in this, how she's a different kind of sidekick. She's just not that traditional, she's there for Peter Pan, but at the same time, if she doesn't feel like it, she's like, I ain't doing it. I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to pout, and you can figure out your own way out of the situation. Whereas Baloo is like, you know what? I got this responsibility. I got this kid. I got to get him, back into, with actual humans. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to have some fun with him at the same time. Oh, man.
This is a tough one.
This is tough. I go back to how I originally chose Baloo, and I think I'd want to hang out with him more, so I'm going with Baloo.
Interesting. I have to, okay. I want to vote for Tinkerbell because it's Tinkerbell, I want to, but she is a mean girl. And now, granted, in her later iterations, as you see her down the road as as the fairy that she has become in newer versions of stories, they've kind of like Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse, when he first came out, he was a spunky little kid, and he had a little bit of a mean streak to him that has now since been kind of washed out. Tinkerbell the same way, but Baloo is a fun character, and both of you have chosen Baloo, so it doesn't really matter what I decide anyway. So, Baloo, you are moving on to the semifinals of March Mouseness.
Yeah, but what you vote for, Chuck? You can't leave us hanging. You said, we voted for Baloo. Every vote counts.
It does, but I probably would. I still would go for Tinkerbell. It's just something about Tink, but it doesn't matter. Baloo moves on anyway. All right, here we go. Timon and Pumbaa versus Jacques and Gus. I'll kick this one off because for me, it's the same story as the previous round. There is no discussion whatsoever. Give me Timon and Pumbaa all day long. I absolutely adore these two. And I almost did it. I almost started off, I can see what's happening. And so, I can you immediately just start hearing them in your mind. It's Timon and Pumbaa. So.
That's why I'm going.
Karaoke for song night, Chuck.
That's right, for song night. Yeah, I'm going to be in trouble on song night next week, so.
Same reason that I'm going to go with Timon and Pumbaa also. When you hear those names, you can hear the sounds. They're immediate. Mm-hmm. And I love my emotional favorite, Jacques and Gus. I adore them. But Timon and Pumbaa, I don't. If we had a March Mouseness of Disney duos, this would probably they would still make my final four. They're incredible.
We'll save that idea for next year. So, Disney duos. Somebody write that down. March Mouseness for next year's Timon and Pumbaa. All right, Matt. Is it
it's 50-50 for me, and this I'm going to go back to those two words, hula skirt. Timon and
There you go.
Pumbaa, the comedy.
What do you want me
aspect
to
that they
do?
bring-
Dress and drag and do the hula?
Exactly.
Dun, 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 dun. Wow.
I mean,
Yeah, so I mean,
it's
it's
a
Timon and
memorable
Pumbaa.
scene.
One of the best Disney lines for parents that there is.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. It's funny, and they have, at the same time they have great heart. They leave a lush paradise for this fixed. As Timon said, talk about your fixer upper. I mean, it's all of that, but yet they do it. So, all right, our final pairing, a pair of M's, Maui and Mushu. So, Megan.
I'm gonna stick with Mushu on this one. I think Maui's great, and he has a depth that Mushu does not have. But I can't pass on Mushu. He's just so classic. He makes that movie.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. And again, the same thing as before. Dishonor. Mushu is hilarious, is funny. Without Eddie Murphy, Mushu is nothing the way he is. And so, and it's funny because you go back to what is one of the biggest criticisms of the Mulan live action movie.
But he's not
Where's
there.
Mushu? Yeah. Not there. And it's a huge criticism of that. In fact, there are many who
movie without him.
Right. There are folks who who refuse to see that film, and I've seen it, and it's okay. It is a very, very different story than the animated Mulan, and I give it credit because it is almost like a new version of the telling of the story versus just a live action, like the Snow White that just came out. And of course, if you'll notice, the dwarves got a Razzie for that. So anyway, but actually they got 2 Razzies. So for me though, it is Mushu. He makes that film what it is. Without Mushu, another one, just that image of him playing off Batman. I need armor, citizens. It's just all of that. It's just so funny. All right, Matt.
For me, a big part for me is replayability, and for me, Mulan, I never got into. I don't mind the story, but I don't know what it is about that movie. It's okay, and I mean, I can go around. I mean, my kids were listening to Disney songs this morning, and Maui came on, and I after I dropped off my daughter, I kept listening to because Can I Get a Chew came on in Maui, so I'm actually going Maui on this one. I just, I know Mushu's,
Mushu's going to Vance, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I know the nostalgia behind it, and, he's always been up there as a top sidekick, but for me, just, I relate more to Maui than I do to Mushu, so.
I think for me, part of it, again, too, because I think Maui's great, but Maui feels like a leading man to me. He doesn't have all of that. He doesn't have the complete sidekick energy for me that that Mushu has. Because I don't know that Mushu. I don't know that I could do an entire movie, all of Mushu. Like, you got to have some balance there because he's hardcore and love him, but that's what makes him a really good sidekick. And I think for Maui, I'm like, when are we getting the Maui spinoff? Because Maui's off doing his own thing. He's fighting demons and he's doing all sorts of things. We could have a Maui movie or a TV show, and Disney probably has one in the works because we don't do anything new.
Right, they very well could be, and you're right that if we're looking here, that we're generally kind of looking at sidekicks as the sidekicks are sort of sidekicks. Again, some of these like Genie, they're almost leading individuals in their own rights versus the supporting cast. And with that, we come to our final 4. So coming out of the first group of 4, the purple group as we colored it here, if you're watching on the video version, is Genie. Coming out of the second group is Baloo. Coming out of our third group, Timon and Pumbaa. And our final group, Mushu. So here it is. We're now down to the final 4, and it is Genie versus Baloo. So an interesting pair of characters here. Both, I think, are very similar in nature, that they're out there to help out their lead character. They're out there to support them in any way that they can. But I still come back to Genie and the fact that, Genie actually gets hijacked from Aladdin in some respects by Jafar. And even because he has a new master, he still, and does what his master, what Jafar tells him to do, he does it so reluctantly because he knows he's doing not the right thing, doesn't have a choice. He's compelled to by the magic of the lamp that binds him. But yet, he still has the heart that he knows he wants to do the right thing. And so, that's just one more reason I love Genie. And so I will pick Genie. Matt?
Yeah, Genie, easy. Just the character development. I mean, like you said, they're both out there to help the main characters, get them through their journey or throughout their story and stuff like that. But just the character development with the Genie, you almost, not only is he like a comedy character, but to me, he's a sympathetic character because, like you just said, he's bound by, his master and, only 3 wishes. And there's even, caveats on that. Like, you can't wish, somebody dead. You can't ask for more wishes, all that kind of stuff. And he just wants to be that helpful person. But he also wants people to, like, be themselves, and not change because they have these 3 wishes and they have the Genie and stuff like that. So, I mean, Baloo's great. I don't know why. Every time I see Baloo, it just makes me laugh.
You can't help but bounce. I mean,
exactly. He's got that little bounce going with him, and then you look. I almost paired him up with King Louie. I almost made them a tandem because I feel like those two together. I don't know. It goes back to like you can't have one with the other without the other. But I feel like Baloo could stand on his own more, and stuff like that. Or you could have done Baloo and Bagheera because they were together for most of the movies, kind of doing the same thing.
Right.
And that kind of plays off the Lumiere, Cogsworth kind of, duo. But yeah, Genie for me, like I said, and I'll keep on saying it, my favorite character. So
yep. Megan?
I love Baloo's big heart, and Genie obviously has the same. What Baloo is missing is the hilarity that Genie brings. And I think when we think about sidekicks, especially, I'm looking for that funny. And Baloo's funny, but not like Genie.
Right. Baloo has comedy, but it's kind of lighthearted comedy. Genie has many, many levels of comedy, which we'll get into because Genie has just advanced to the next round. So we'll talk more about Genie here in a minute. But first, our other Final Four matchup, Timon and Pumbaa versus Mushu. And so this is really interesting because, it's kind of funny how this all matches up. You have Timon and Pumbaa, who can be snarky and sarcastic and all of that. And you have Mushu, who can be snarky and sarcastic and all of that. So, they're actually, almost two sides of the same coin. So this actually gets much more challenging. Where, in the previous round, it was give me Timon and Pumbaa all day long, all day long, all day long. This is not so simple. In the end, I'm still choosing Timon and Pumbaa, but I have to stop and I really got to think about this one. Because Mushu is very similar to Timon and Pumbaa, kind of in their own right, very similar character nature, very similar attitudes and personalities. So, in the end, though, I still kind of I got to go with Timon and Pumbaa. I just love the pair. They're such a great, great pair. Megan?
I'm going to take the other side. I can't pass on Mushu. I just love him. And I think the very end of these movies is what this came down to for me, in that Timon and Pumbaa, they're part of the win. Everybody's happy. Yeah, they're still kind of snarky and stuff, but everybody's in line. There's harmony and all this stuff. Mushu's still cracking jokes and, one-liners in his final scene as we're, coming down to the end. I just can't pass. As great as Timon and Pumbaa are, and as classic as I think there is a duo, Mushu is just my absolute favorite.
All righty. So once again, we have a Matt in the middle here. Matt, buddy, you're the call. Is it Timon and Pumbaa or is it Mushu to advance to the final matchup of March Mouseness Round 2? Can I pump this up anymore?
For me, it's actually pretty easy. For me, it's Timon and Pumbaa. I go back to what I said before. I haven't really seen Mulan enough to really like get enthralled with like the Mushu character. I know people love him, and to me, it is kind of an underrated character in a way. If you don't like, if you don't watch Mulan, then basically you don't know Mushu enough to like appreciate like the character and the sidekick that he is. And unfortunately, I fall in that category where Timon and Pumbaa. If you know who Timon and Pumbaa are, you've watched The Lion King. I feel like it's just a more popular movie, and I think the growth that Timon and Pumbaa show from the beginning when we meet them to the end is just they kind of grow as characters. And I think that also kind of helps. Like, Megan, you mentioned, like, Mushu's still cracking one-liners at the end. And I feel like that was, once again, haven't seen the movie enough to see what character development he has, but it just seems like if he's the same when we meet him to the same at the end, to me, Timon and Pumbaa are just kind of like carefree, like just living life, and at the end it's like, hey, we got like this responsibility, and we're going to help this kid out, get back what's his. So, to me, I lean Timon and Pumbaa for that reason.
All righty, so Timon and Pumbaa move to the final, and so we do have our final matchup, which is Timon and Pumbaa and Genie. So, Megan, we'll let you start out this one.
First of all, I mean, you got to love that we have 90s sidekicks. The 90s, man, the
yeah,
late
look at
80s,
this.
With, I'm a little surprised that we didn't have a duo of, like, Sebastian and Flounder on here with all.
Thought about it, but it's just one of those, they're just too kind of.
Hey, we limited him to 16. I mean, he could have done 160.
I also appreciate the one that we got two sidekicks who have songs. Like, you hear their names and you can immediately start singing to something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Genie obviously has more songs.
We got songs next week. Save it till next week.
I'm going with Genie here. Again, the depth in a single character, the Robin Williams of it all. Mm-hmm. Timon and Pumbaa are great, but Genie, that heart that he has, and his willingness to do whatever it takes for Aladdin, even if it's sacrificial for him. I mean, yeah, he's, we could have heard You've Got a Friend in Me about Genie, not just the Toy Story characters.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so this is hard because of exactly what you said. I just said, wait, we're talking about songs next week, but I'm going to talk about songs right now in a minute, only because that's the exact thing. I mean, both of them are attached to multiple quintessential songs. So how do you choose? And it's so hard. This is so tough. And these are both movies that I love. Obviously, everybody if you've listened to Mousecast or watched Mousecast, I am a tremendous Lion King fan. But I love the Genie too. And the Genie character is such a wonderful character, voiced by arguably one of the most talented comedic actors that we will ever encounter in the face of humanity, in Robin Williams. I can't imagine, I can't hear the Genie without Robin Williams' voice. There have been times where, there have been some genies that have popped up and, offshoots and things like that, and you just go, but that's not Robin Williams. That's not Robin Williams. That's not Genie. And so for me, it's Genie. I love Timon and Pumbaa. I'm sorry, Timon and Pumbaa. I'm so sorry. But I've got to go with Genie. Genie is just so much more than and Timon and Pumbaa are already up here, and then Genie just takes it into the stratosphere. So for me, the winner of March Mouseness for characters is Genie. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, it's the Genie. I mean, it's close. If if I wasn't already partial to Genie, I think I'd have a harder time with this decision just because of they're just wonderful characters. Like, you don't see characters like this anymore. The character development, between, there's the comedy, there's like the empathy for these characters, and then this how they grow from how you first meet them until the end of the story is just like, wow, it's almost like a different character in a way. So yeah, it's close, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, maybe the Genie really isn't the sidekick, but to me, like the real story behind Aladdin is Aladdin and Jasmine's struggles and stuff like that. And Genie's kind of helps out both sides in that case. So
he's definitely a supporting character. I mean, Genie, when you go look at the length of the movie, Genie's not in there all that much. It's not like, he is like Aladdin. I mean, Aladdin's in there for a long time and all that, and so is Jasmine. Genie is not in the movie tremendously long time, so he's definitely a supporting character, but is he one good supporting character.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we have our winner for week 2 of the 2026 Mousecast March Mouseness. Genie, you are the top sidekick character for March Mouseness. So congratulations. Huge thanks to Matt for putting together our top 16 for this week. Next up, Megan has our top 16 songs as we come up to our final round of March Mouseness. So we'll be live Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. live on Facebook and on our YouTube page. So Matt and Megan, I want to thank you so much for being with us on this pre-recorded show tonight of Mousecast. A reminder, of course, that we are live every Tuesday night. Again, occasionally we do have to do a pre-recorded show, but for the most part, we are live every Tuesday night. You can find us on Facebook at Mousecast 2025 or on our YouTube channel over at youtube.com/Mousecast. You are watching Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. And so until next time, we'll see you.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show. And joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time.